How's it going, every pony? Spiky Dash here, aka Chris Pearson, with you here. It is 7 o'clock on Monday, September 25th on the East Coast, and we are live. This is episode number 9 of ATSD. That one, according to Spiky Dash. This episode has been a long time coming. Again, my apologies in advance for pushing it back for so long. Just a lot has been going on this month. Been very crazy, busy, life things, other things. I was all planned to do this episode last week, last Thursday, but then life happened. And it's hard. This has rarely ever happened to me, but I must have either ate hot food too fast, something like that, and I literally had a mega burn on this side of my mouth, no joke. And the last couple of days, it's felt really better. And again, I know this is kind of not paid to do this, but a product plug, but recommended actually by a coworker of mine. You ever have a mouth problem? Use Orajel. Really good stuff. So this was like my best friend, not literally, of course, but a good one nonetheless, over the past couple days to cure the pain in my mouth. I even had to miss church on Sunday, unfortunately. I hate missing yesterday, but because I still wasn't fully recovered yet, so I still had a little bit of pain. But today is the best that I've felt in a few days, so because of this. And I'm sure if you noticed the way I was maybe kind of speaking during the FFSR Week 3 preview on Wednesday, where my speech kind of sounded kind of weird. That's why I was just beginning to feel that pain on the side of my face. I might still sound a little bit numb, but I'm much better than what I was. It's not like a searing pain anymore. I still don't want to really chew food on that side yet. But it's not hurt when I drink as much anymore. So I thank my coworker very much for recommending that to cure that. But I'm better. I'm ready to do this now. I'm ready to talk about a lot of things to discuss in this video. Obviously, MLP episode recaps to discuss. We got 3 episodes to discuss. I know that episode 20 aired on Saturday. I will not be discussing that in this particular video. I'll wait until episode 10 to do that one, along with, because I will probably have seen it by then. So here's a quick warning about ATSD episode 10. That will not only talk about the new MLP episodes that I've seen, but it will probably also entail a recap of the movie. So fair warning in advance. If you if you have not seen the movie until that point, if you do not want to be spoiled, do not watch the live stream. Do not watch until you have seen the movie. If you don't want my honest opinion, and do not want to be spoiled, I forewarn you on that in advance. Anytime I give episode recaps or any recap involving MLP, I always say spoiler alert. Well, that's definitely true in terms of the movie, and it's even more so because I don't know if you guys read the story on Equestria Daily, that there was someone, actually it was 2 people, it was a boyfriend, girlfriend, that were attempting to record the premiere that was just held in New York yesterday, and of course they got caught in the act and got kicked out of the theater. Rightly they should, because that is illegal. So please, and I'm sure I won't be able to see the movie actually on release night on October 6th, because I believe I work that night, unfortunately. I worked the late shift that night, unfortunately, 2 to 10:30. I will hopefully see it sometime shortly after it comes out during that next week, and I will probably see it with all my friends. Hopefully, that would be very, very awesome. But I'm sure when I do the next episode of ATSD, episode 10, that will definitely entail a movie recap. So please, in advance, if you do not want to be spoiled on movie details, do not watch episode 10 until you have seen the movie. That's really all I'm going to say, because I don't want to, I want to share my honest opinion, but I only want to share it with those who have actually seen the film. I don't want to, I don't want anyone spoiled because of me. So fair warning in advance. If you've not seen the movie when I post episode 10, don't watch, okay? Because that's really, I think all the episode is going to entail. I'm not going to really include any other topics in the episode. I'm just going to leave it focused on MLP centered, that one, so I can really get my true thoughts out there on the episodes, since we're getting closer to the season 7 finale and the movie. So please, by all means, if you have not caught up to those episodes yet, or if you have not seen the movie when I post that, do not watch episode 10. You've been warned. Okay? Just wanted to get that out there first. What are we going to talk about in this episode? That's probably what you wanted to know besides what I posted in the synopsis. What are we going to talk about? Obviously, we're going to talk about episodes 17 through 19. To Change a Changeling, Daring Done, and Is the Main Thing About You. That's what I'm going to talk about here to lead us off. I'm also going to talk about my early thoughts on my local high school football teams, because a little bit of football. NFL, not so much, because I'm going to save that for FFSR, obviously. But I'm going to talk high school, my thoughts on my local teams here early on, college football for my teams that I follow. We'll talk about a little interesting story I had with Windows, an interesting experience I had with a Windows 10 update. And then finally, to end it, I've been hyping it up for a long time, and I definitely want to get to it, but my rant on the Indianapolis Colts. And that's really the only NFL I'll be talking about in this video, is just my rant on the Colts, because I have a lot to talk about when it comes to them. So, but first, let us dive right into some episode recaps. So again, I say this in advance, if you have not seen episodes 17 through 19 yet, this is where you want to mute the video, or, don't watch this part, walk away, that kind of thing until I tell you to come back or whatever. Just don't listen to this part, because I'm going to be recapping these episodes. So with that being said, episode 17, To Change a Changeling. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, we saw Thorax now twice in the span of a few weeks. We just saw him with Ember and with Spike in Triple Threat, and now we saw him again 2 episodes later. So that was just awesome. I really liked this episode for a lot of different reasons. I really found that I liked this one. Plus, that was one of the main reasons, seeing him only just 2 weeks after the Triple Threat episode. And another thing we really didn't get to see much of, getting to see the Changeling Hive now, after the change, from Chrysalis's rule, and now seeing how it's going under Thorax. So we had not yet really seen that. We had heard some things from previous episodes, especially episode 1 of season 7 with Celestial Advice, when Thorax mentioned, it's, when Starlight asked him, how's being a new leader going? And he said, it's challenging, but we're adjusting. And so they were just starting to, the Changelings were just starting to really learn about, friendship and that kind of thing, and then, in this new form of theirs. So they were just kind of really starting to learn. And then, of course, we heard in Triple Threat 2 weeks prior to this episode that there was still, Thorax mentions to Spike, that there is still a renegade group of changelings that, are feeding off of love. So we knew that there were issues there as well, that Thorax was kind of having these leadership issues leading the Hive. So with that being said, now we finally flash forward 2 weeks, or fast forward, I should say. Well, it could be a flash forward in a way. So now we go forward 2 weeks, and now we're at the Changeling Hive. So now we're really seeing what Thorax has done as leader, and the Hive looks, the plants are starting to grow back now that, they don't feed off of, that anymore. The plants are starting to grow back. So it's starting to look a lot more, in a way, I guess, homely is the word I'm thinking of, at least from Thorax's and the new Changeling's perspective. So that was finally nice to see, and oh my gosh, Big I'm sorry, I don't watch Monday Night Countdown here too, and Big Red's on the scene. Big Red is one mascot that needs a Twitter account. I'm sorry. I'll have to pause that when he came over to the set. But anywho, off topic. I know, NFL crawling into the show. So yeah, seeing the Changeling Hive, nice to see. And I also loved, how Thorax is integrating some new activities into into the event, which I thought was really neat. You know, he's doing the theaters. When I saw that, that's perfect for the Changelings. They can already change in different forms. It's perfect for them to do theater. That was awesome. The swing dancing and the potluck lunch and then the craft time, which was neat. And then of course the feelings forum. I love that. That to me just won it right there. They have these feelings forum, or as his brother Pharynx called it, the feeling circle, or whatever he called it. But that was really neat to see. And Starlight and Trixie in this episode, oh my gosh, never change, you two. I mean, really, I don't think Trixie is ever going to change. She's always, even though she seems, sometimes to learn lessons, she's always going to be the great and powerful, but then there's of course the one scene where she's like, I'm also unscarable. I can't be, I'm the unscarable Trixie. And then of course Pharynx pops up and then she goes into this scream of, so much, and Starlight said it later, so much for unscarable Trixie, it's that was just done. I was done. That was just perfect. So, I did find it interesting though that, they weren't called by the cutie map to the Changeling Hive. Not that there was a friendship problem or anything, although it might have seemed with Pharynx, with Thorax's brother, they might have seemed that way. They weren't called to the map or called by the map to go to the hive. They just wanted to surprise Thorax. So again, kind of out of the blue a bit, but for the most part, it was okay. So we meet Thorax's brother Pharynx, and actually another surprise, and I did not notice until I saw the voice actor list at the end of the episode, was actually voiced by Bill Newton. Now, of course, then your question is, who's Bill Newton? Bill Newton was the voice of Bright Mac in the episode 13 of The Perfect Pair, Applejack's dad. So, and I would never have guessed, because of course the two characters sound nothing alike. So I would never have guessed that was Bill Newton, but he did an absolutely fantastic job doing Pharynx's voice and kind of bringing that character out. So props to Bill Newton. I found him also on Twitter and followed him as well. And I believe he's also going to Ponyville Cider Fest in Milwaukee next month. So good on you, Bill Newton. You're getting more respected and beloved by the fandom as you do these roles. So yay to Bill Newton. I think his Twitter handle is @BillNewtonVO, I believe, if you want to follow him. So please follow him. He's very good. But he had some great lines in the episode, and of course the best one though is when Thorax is going off outside to help lead the plants to this big Malwarf away. This big creature that's going toward the hive, and he goes outside, and Starlight and Trixie are left to deal with Pharynx. And it's and Starlight, and of course Trixie first is okay, how do we approach this? Okay, you hit him with magic, and I'll go stay back here. But then of course Starlight's not going to listen to that nonsense, so she just walks up and goes, "Hey, Pharynx, look, I know we didn't get up on the right hoof." And then Pharynx is like, "I put you in a bag. I thought it went great." I died. I was done. I was done. That line was the best of the episode. Just mic drop. Done. It was just it's just the look on Pharynx's face when he says that line. I put you in a bag. I thought it went great. It was just done. It was just one of the best moments of the episode. And I rewatched it with Nate a couple weeks ago, and when he got caught up on the episodes as well, and it was I died again, because it's just the look on Pharynx's face, if you freeze it, is priceless when he says that line. So great stuff. But the other cool thing about Pharynx though is he had kind of a great backstory, his relationship with Thorax. We get to see their kind of relationship growing up, when they were just scrubs, when they were young, and everyone, of course, Thorax mentions everyone wanted to be a warrior changeling, well, except for him, of course, because that wasn't his thing. He wanted to make friends. And, even when all the other little changelings were making fun of Thorax, Pharynx was very, very protective. He told him, "Hey, step away from my brother. Step off. Don't mess with him." But then it's also kind of okay, the only one that can mess with him is me, because, he was, because, he wouldn't let anyone else harm him. But then Pharynx goes up to him and is like, he does this thing why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? But that came into play a little bit later, as we found out. So Pharynx, yes, loving, protected to his brother. So there was some good in him. That's why Thorax kept sticking up for him and didn't want to kick Pharynx out of the hive. But the other big thing is that, Pharynx was really then the only renegade changeling. Well, not really much a renegade as much as, he felt like, he was the head of patrol. And when the changelings were a fierce swarm, his words later on during the Feelings Forum, he was kind of like the leader of the patrol. He was head of it. And, he took that out. He was like the head of patrol and wanted to make sure, they were going out and being fierce, fighting and defending from their enemies. But now that they had all changed and had, given love instead of fed off of it, it feels like Pharynx has lost his purpose. Like he doesn't fit in anymore. He doesn't feel appreciated, and now he doesn't feel like he can fit in among every changeling else. And I thought that was cool then that then Thorax was able to convince the other changelings to change, because that was a callback. Starlight made the point of it. I thought Ember TG had to be more assertive from Triple Threat, and Thorax like, oh yeah, she did, really helpful. I convinced all the others except for my brother. So Pharynx was the only one who was unwilling to do that right away. So, So to deal with Pharynx, it was definitely a tricky challenge. It was they try to relate to him, they try to get through to him, but that's easier said than done. It's very tricky. But then Starlight, of course, being genius thinker that she is, comes up with this plan. What she does is, because she wants to bring out that good in Pharynx that Thorax talked about in the story. So she then tries to put Thorax in danger, and of course by doing that puts the rest of the hive in danger. I guess maybe that was unbeknownst to her. She puts the plants that lure the creature away, instead bringing them directly toward the hive. And by doing that, then she thinks, okay, the changelings can't defend themselves now, but Pharynx sure can. And now that when he sees that the hive's in danger, he will come to Thorax's rescue and everyone else's rescue by defending the Mall Wharf, and everyone will be saved, and then he'll learn to embrace love and transform. So that was her kind of a grand plan, but that backfires right away because Pharynx is gone, because he overhears Starlight, and of course as disguised as a rock, because of course he overhears Starlight and Trixie talking and saying, and Starlight saying something that she even admitted to saying would go against everything she's been learning as Twilight's pupil. And she basically thinks Pharynx is a lost cause. So she is giving up on kind of this mission, even though she wasn't called, to, kind of redeem and make Pharynx embrace love and transform. And Trixie's reaction, again, a great face. I believe in second chances, thirds even, but Pharynx is a bad bug. I mean, just her look when she says bad bug was just perfect too. A lot of good faces in this episode. So now Pharynx, hearing that, feels like, again, like he just has no place in the hive. If the only ponies that think that come to maybe redeem him or make him fit in don't even believe in him, then what purpose is there? So he leaves, he goes off and to who knows where. But now the changelings, of course, when Starlight says, well, now who's going to defend the hive from the Mall Wharf that I just brought here, led here with the trail? And now it's like, oh boy, now we got a big problem. So that blew up right away. But in the end, it all works out. And the epic moment, of course, in the end was Starlight's speech. That was just absolutely epic. I'm like, whoa, you go, girl. I mean, you go, Starlight. I mean, that was just, and maybe that was kind of like the dictator side coming out, like when she ruled the village with an iron hoof, which she admitted in this episode to Pharynx, by the way. And she's like, oh, she's making this big old grandiose speech. And of course, at first, no one goes for it. like no one leads them, so it's just Thorax and Starlight and Trixie going out to try and help him and find him. But eventually they do run into Pharynx and this big old dreaded Malworth. Looks like a giant, mole with big teeth and, big claws and gangly and everything. Kind of like the Starlight, showed with, big sharp claws. That's probably a GIF somewhere too. But yeah, so they encounter it, but eventually, Pharynx is, admits, yeah, I could take it on, but not alone. Well, luckily, then he's not alone because the rest of the changelings come and they, try to take it on. And of course, very tough at first, but then, of course, in the end, Trixie makes a comment, oh, if only we could get it to hit itself. And bingo, there's that moment. Remember when I told you, you could, about hitting yourself? When we were young and I made you hit yourself? It's like, oh, yeah. And so then they make it hit itself and eventually it's defeated. So, but then in the end, finally, Pharynx, he admits, he tells them, I couldn't just let it attack you. I had to come out here and do something. I didn't want to let it attack you. The Thorax is like, well, I thought you didn't care. I thought we were going to leave the hive. You didn't care. It's like, I never said that. The hive is the thing that I eventually he says, the hive is something I love the most. I do. I love the hive. But then he's still thinking of leaving because he doesn't think he still has a place. But then the changelings admit, wait, we were wrong. We do need someone to defend ourselves. We do need someone like you to stick around and be our protector. And we still need to defend ourselves, obviously, because we still apparently have enemies. So Pharynx, of course, is overwhelmed by all this. He's, very, wants to stay. And then Thorax, is like, well, unless you still want to leave. But then, was like, why would I do that? I love the hive. Oh, said the L word. So transformation happens and he changes into his new form. And I love the color scheme. I love that look. I found it interesting, though. Similar antlers to Thorax. So he does have antlers. So I don't know if that's just recognition of them being broodmates, brothers in a way, or it does have a position of power within the changelings. I found that very intriguing, very interesting. But it also makes me wonder, in the end, that I'm sure this is foreshadowing down the line, whether it's the season 7 finale or something in season 8. It really makes me wonder what Chrysalis is going to think about all this happening to the changelings, because remember what she said at the end of season 6. She said, "I will have my revenge on you, Starlight Glimmer, and I will have my revenge at some point." So that's got to be coming at some point, whether it's in the season 7 finale or some point in season 8, we don't know, but because I'm trying to be as much spoiler free as possible. But it's got to be, she probably will not enjoy that. So and also surprising that we didn't really this, I think this is probably one of the first episodes, if not at all, we did not see one main 6 member at all in this episode, not at all, none of the main 6 or a CMCA. So this was completely Starlight, Trixie, Thorax, all their episodes. So very interesting to see that in this one. So I like that one. Episode 18, though, Daring Done, it was okay, but it wasn't like one of my favorites. Like it was okay on its own, but it was kind of in a way predictable. It seemed at some points kind of rushed. It was to me one of the more weaker Daring Do episodes. Outside of like Stranger Than Fan Fiction or where Rainbow Dash first time she helps her out, with that episode. Those to me are stronger episodes. But this one was, again, held up nicely on its own, but not like overtly great. I will say though in the beginning though, when Rainbow Dash first finds out about AK Yearling's retirement, her reactions are priceless. I mean, she just looks like her whole world just got rocked. I mean, literally, just completely and utterly rocked. So that was priceless. I loved that. But here's the thing, like the shady figure that we saw, even while Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie and AK come into this town of Somnambula, and we see the ponies talk about how much when Rainbow Dash asks about Daring Do and how much actually she's ruining the town on these missions that she's doing. The kind of the shady guy and the hoodie and all that. I knew it was Caballero right away. I mean, come on, that to me that was just like a dead giveaway with the voice, the beard. I mean, it was a dead giveaway. I knew it was Caballero. So I think, you know, of all, again, I watched fellow commentaries on doing it, and you know, some of them picked up on it right away. I think Apple Geek did not pick up on it right away. There was Caballero, but I think he did later on, did down the line, but not right away. But I think everyone else that I watched picked up on it right away. So we knew who it was. And you know, and it was a bummer because of one thing. It's, you know, it's too bad that really we only saw the Sphinx in a flashback. Although the Sphinx character was really cool. I really liked that. I found it to be really neat. You know, whatever it was. Is a Sphinx have a gender? Like I want to say it's a female, but it's kind of hard to tell. Like, you know, he, she, it. I couldn't tell, but the creepy thing was, and I think Apple Geek also made mention of this in his commentary as well. They should have given some name to the character and the Sphinx like regular voices, like instead of the narrator, the old guy with the apple cart saying their voices in a regular voice. That was kind of creepy, just a little bit creepy. But other than that, I thought the story was cool. The legend was cool with that. But yeah, and then of course it gets to the point where, you know, they eventually, you know, Caballero eventually shows himself to Rainbow Dash because, you know, Rainbow Dash trying to convince the townspeople that Darren Dew would never do anything to destroy the town, just to protect them. But of course, the shady figure who's actually Caballero, you know, keeps swaying them the other way. So he's of course trying to write her out of the stories, and Rainbow Dash, you know, points out, you know, what did Darren Dew ever do to you? And it's like, oh, just everything. So then he revealed himself to be Caballero, which we knew. So of course captures Rainbow Dash and kind of puts her in the same predicament that of Somnambula's story back in the day, where she's, you know, tied up around this thing with the green slime down in the bottom. So now, you know, Pinkie Pie and Daring Do now, AK has changed out of her original gear, now gone to Daring Do, go to there to rescue her, but they have to kind of take this leap of faith in a way because Daring Do can't fly because there's magic in the temple that can't, you know, prevents from flying. So they just got to go for it and do it. And of course, because show, all of a sudden these little pyramid misty things come out of the slime, and they're able to leap across it and rescue Rainbow Dash. And then eventually they expose Caballero for the fraud that he is, because he was the one taking their glow paths, their big gem from the city. So, you know, and I thought it was cute though. There was a doll moment too, you know, where you know Pinkie Pie is heading to the temple, and she's like, "I'm coming, Rainbow Dash," and then Daring Do comes up from behind, and she's like, you know, "Yo, you're actually here," and it's like, you know. And Pinkie Pie goes, "I knew you would be here." And she's like, "You did? I didn't think I would." And she's like, "I know you would, because you cared too much about Rainbow Dash. You would not let anything happen to her." And Darren Dew's like, "You're right." I'm like, "Aww." And she does. I think really the relationship between Darren Dew and Rainbow Dash is legit. I think, you know, they do care too much about each other to let anything one happen to the other. So very, very cool. And it was nice to see in the end also that, you know, that Darren Dew and AK, you know, Darren Dew / AK Yearling kind of made up for all her misdoings. You know, she fixed, you know, replaces the apple cart. She, you know, pays off the hotel bill she had, and then also she helps replace the statue in the town. So very, very cool on her. So, you know, good episode, not great by any stretch, but on its own, it held up. I gotta see that again. I gotta see. It's Big Red. Big Red might be what, 5'3" inches? Come on, Big Red. I love the picture. I sent it to my wife, Big Red. So Randy Moss didn't know the name of the mascot. That's funny. That's funny. Birdie Cardinal. Come on, you gotta know it's Big Red. All right. So, anywho, I had to see that real quick. Oh my gosh, my phone is blowing up. Okay. Told a fanatic how much I like music, and he delivered. Oh, that's great. And my mascot friend on Twitter, or one of my fellow mascot fans on Twitter, Jessica, just messaged me. She got something to that. That's cool. All right. So yeah, decent episode 18, but not great. Now, episode 19, it isn't the main thing about you. What can I say about this one except the fandom, myself included, went crazy over it, especially when, the big, reveal happened at the end. This one was very, very fun. We got to see Zecora. And spoiler alert, we will see her again in episode 20. We hadn't seen Zecora in what feels like a long time. It had been a long time since we'd seen Zecora in an episode, so it was about time she made her presence felt. And the way she gets involved is because Rarity apparently is doing this big photo shoot for Vanity Mirror magazine because they're doing photo finish is doing the best mains in Equestria, and of course hers very much stands out. So she's doing all these different things to different ponies, flowers to match their mane, or the windswept look and the fans, or the chairs to lay on. So she's very much has, of course, that big fashion presence because she's the kind of the fashionista of Ponyville. That's just the way it's always been, and throughout Equestria with her numerous boutiques. So, so she has very much a big say in that. But then she goes to Pinkie Pie's, and Pinkie Pie, of course, who has a party for everything. Literally, I'm sure she does. She was doing a sneeze-iversary for the twins' first sneezes, or the Kate twins, because sure, why not? And she sings this song and does this happy little song and dance. Weird Al will be proud, or cheese sandwich even because of the accordion, because of that. And then she sprays this super sticky, silly string, this celebration string, over everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. It gets everywhere. So it's in Rarity's mane, it's on the twins, it's on the walls, it's on the baked goods. I mean, it is everywhere. So, of course, they think, well, Pinkie said, well, if only there's a good shampoo for your mane and a great remover for this stuff. Well, then why don't we go see Zecora? She clearly, she makes potions for anything. So why not go see her? So they go see Zecora, and so she makes these different potions, different things because she's making a shampoo for Rarity and a remover potion for Pinkie. But then she also kind of tells these, these stories I could tell about, split ends and bad mane days, because manes are tricky, I have learned. It was just so cool for that. But then as Rarity is about to take the shampoo out the door, she has a fright moment and the bottles fall to the floor, and right away that they probably got swapped in that moment. So, it looked like it. So obviously we now know Rarity walks out with the remover, and Pinkie's got the shampoo instead, so you kind of had a feeling. But that scream, oh my gosh, that moment, first you see Pinkie with the shampoo, and you're like, okay, well, now we know what's going to happen to Rarity. But, now when we see, that my mane feels lighter already, and she sees it, and it's just, that scream, oh my gosh, that was just... I bet Tabitha St. Germain had fun, or maybe not, recording that scream, because that one is going to be, I'm sure, replayed for many seasons to come in different compilations and videos and whatnot. So that scream is oh my gosh, one of the screams of the season, if you will. And we found out you cannot fix manes with magic, because... Of course, she starts showing, trying to say, oh, it's not. How can everyone ignore it and be so bad? But it's it's kind of hard. And Starlight even said hard. So, she's begging this, but she's begging Twilight and Starlight, can't you do anything to fix this? Anything at all? So they try. They try to swap out one from the Crystal Empire. That doesn't work. Starlight takes a wooden one from the door. That doesn't work. So they're both trying hilarious things, and then it's just a big poofs of hair all over the castle, and they both shoot their magic at it. That, of course, did nothing. So very hilarious. but it's true. Apparently, you can't fix mains with magic. And so, of course, that drives Rarity into a further kind of depression. She goes out to town, and again, she interacts with the same ponies that she did originally. But of course, now that they can't really notice who she is, it's kind of like they don't they don't see that in her. It's kind of like but the big thing is, though, it's not the fact that her mane is different. It's the fact that she's kind of changing her behavior. She's not being so sure of herself as she originally was, and so because of that, she kind of continues to get this depressed feeling. So eventually goes back home, starts sulking, doing the whole ice cream thing that she normally does when she sulks. But every pony comes back to her and says, and encourages her and says, hey, yeah, your mane's great, but it's not the only thing about you. Roll credits. It's not the only thing. You're still great. You've still done so much. You've been a great friend. You've done all this stuff, and they're just trying to be so encouraging to her. But then she's and then you realize you guys are right. You're right. The only one that changed it all day today was me. It was my behavior. They didn't change. I was just so unsure of myself that I wasn't being I wasn't shining the way that I normally do. So then she says it's not about being shining from the outside in. It's from the inside out. And she then goes in there, changes things up, and starts like, what are you doing? And she comes out and blam, punk rock Rarity. And we're like, whoa, okay. The fan art, this is where I saw the fan art coming from with this different look. And oh my gosh, and honestly, I didn't think it looked that bad. I thought it was a great look. And we'd already seen Rarity shred on guitar in that one weird scene in that episode, a little while back. And so it's kind of maybe like a callback to that in a way. But wow, she really threw that together. So good on Rarity, and she went back out there and kept on doing her thing, and people were still blown away by even her new look. So and so that was just so awesome that she was able to do that in the end and do all that. But it was a great ending. I loved the ending of this episode. Loved it. Because what do you know, big surprise in the end is there, Rarity, it's been months since then. Rarity's mane has grown back to the way it was before. It's back to normal. But Pinky then is like, ooh, the new Vanity Mare magazine is out. She's like, you should read it. And Rarity's like, you know what, after all I went through, I don't care anymore. There's like, read it, look at it. And sure enough, Rarity's on the cover with the new look. And she's like, well, how is that possible? I canceled my shoot with photo finish. And, of course, every pony tells her, well, we kind of talked with photo finish and let her know what had gone on. So while you were shining from the inside out, she took some shots, incognito behind the bushes. So very cool. I loved that. And the other ponies were catching on to the new look. So that was just an awesome, awesome ending. I loved that. I thought that was really great. So great ending to a great Rarity episode. So very, very good. So two of these episodes I really, really liked. The Daring Done kind of in there, not so much. But I know it's surprising for me because, it's kind of a Rainbow Dash episode too in a way. So, but it wasn't, it was predictable. It was pretty predictable on its own. Although the legend was cool. But yeah, the Changeling was cool, and the Rarity episode very, very cool. So I liked those two episodes. I will say about episode 20, the recent episode, I liked it. It was okay. I wasn't overwhelmed by it. Again, it was kind of more of, it kind of had a legend tied into it. But I don't want to give too much away on it until I talk about it in episode 10, so I won't say too much now. But it was okay, again, on its own, but not like elite, not like one of my favorite episodes of the season. It was just good on its own, kind of like episode 18. So, but again, I mentioned, I'll talk about that episode 20 plus the new episodes when I shoot episode 10 when I do that live stream, and of course the movie. So again, major spoilers. If you want to be spoiled, don't watch that. Okay, that's all about Pony-wise for now. Moving right along to some different stories. Let me talk here a little bit about high school college football. How things have gone for my teams so far that I follow, the teams that I like. High school-wise, my local team here in Logansport is actually doing very well. Very, very much. It's kind of like it's very much a team revitalized. We have a new head coach here. Newer head coach, I should say. Second season now. Trying to turn the program around. And I knew it wasn't going to happen, overnight. Last year we won our first 2 games, but then we lost every single conference game. So that was very, very tough and tough to watch. I mean, we got like our doors blown off, literally. But this year, we're starting to do much better. We are 4-2 now. I think we're like 2-2 now in conference play, which is very, very good. So we've won some conference games. We won a big game last week, blowing out Richmond like 54-6, 54-7, something like that. So very, very cool there. This team, when they play well, plays well and makes some noise when they play these schools, though they're much bigger than them and can figure out their offense, like Harrison, like a McCutcheon. Then Logansport tends to struggle a bit, and they lost like 42-0 to Harrison, 21-0 to McCutcheon. So, but it's the first time we've reached 4 wins in a season since 2011, so 6 years. So that is a great start out of the box, and I'm really hoping that these next couple weeks are going to really be a big test of where we're at as a team. We have to play at Kokomo next week and at Lafayette Jeff, who's a highly ranked team in I think Class 6A. So two very big challenges ahead of them to close out the season before tournament play, hosting Anderson, which is also a winnable game. So if we can at least, I don't think we're going to beat Lafayette Jeff, but if we can beat Kokomo, who actually kind of looks beatable, and Anderson's definitely beatable, it would not surprise me to go into tournament play with a 6-3 record. That would not surprise me in the slightest. That'd be a great season by Logansport standards. So even at 5-4 would be above 500 would be great. So we're taking steps. We're getting there, and I've been very, very impressed with what I've seen. I've only went to one home game. I went to the Harrison game after the first 2 wins of the season, thinking, okay, this is now where we're going to really show who we are. And of course, we get our doors blown off. 42-0. We left like 28-0 in the third quarter, so I thought, here we go again. But we looked pretty good the last couple weeks. We beat Indy Tech at Indy Tech, then lost the game to McCutcheon, only 21-0 though. That was surprising. But then we blow the doors off of Richmond. So the progress is being made. The progress is there. So I'm just hoping that continues moving forward. Now for my alumni high school, which is Twin Lakes, which is a couple cities down the road in Monticello, they might be back. They just pulled off probably one of the biggest wins they have had in school history. They beat 10th ranked Central Catholic in Class A on their home field, at Twin Lakes in their home field. I think it was like 41-25, something like that, and that's a huge win for that program. There weren't a lot of big, really upset wins when I went to school there. Like 12, 15 years ago. There really weren't, a whole lot of big wins. There was the one time we upset Sheridan, and for us, that was a huge upset win against one of the better teams in the state. But there really wasn't a whole, lot aside from our senior year when we ran the table and then made a deep, deep run to I think like the regional final, and then we lost. We really hadn't had a whole lot to celebrate, but that clearly must have been a great atmosphere at Twin Lakes on Friday night with that huge win over CC. So I'm hoping that they're coming back, because at the start of the season, Twin Lakes could not score on offense. They were shut out by Culver Academy. They were shut out by Northwestern. They were 0-2 out of the box. But now they've won 3 of their last 4 games. They've beaten Delphi. They've now beaten CC, and I believe they've also beaten, I want to say, Benton Central. So, because I know they lost to Rensselaer. So they are looking, like a really, at least a competitive team now. So we'll see what happens these final games down the stretch, because I know they still have to play, I believe they still have to play Tipton. They still have to play, or Hamilton Heights, and not Tipton, Hamilton Heights and West Lafayette. and then they play the Hoosier Conference playoff. So we'll see where they're at with those two, because those two are really going to be big tests for Twin Lakes coming to these next 2 weeks. So we'll see what kind of team. So again, these next 2 weeks for both Logansport and Twin Lakes are going to be very, very big tests to see where they're at heading into tournament play. So definitely going to keep an eye on those teams ahead. As from a college perspective, Indiana State, Sycamores, boy, it has been a rough start to the year, but it's kind of been a theme of woulda, coulda, shoulda. Of course, with the new head coach, we knew overnight Kurt Mallory was not going to make this team into a juggernaut overnight. I mean, we knew this, and this team is very young. There's 52 freshmen on this roster alone, and so we knew out of the box it was going to be very, very tricky. But this team certainly has not backed down from the games that we knew they could compete in. Eastern Illinois in the opener, I went to that game. I usually go to all the home games. And it was a great atmosphere, night game, season opener at Memorial Stadium. The attendance was great. It was, I think, listed over 4,000, 5,000, close to that. Student section was packed, so it was a great atmosphere. And the Sycamores had the game won. They were hanging on late, 20-16, final seconds, and then Eastern Illinois just went down the field with a great drive, great series of plays, and basically scored a walk-off touchdown. There's 3 seconds left, but pretty much won the game for them, 22-20. So that was a bitter pill to swallow in the opening week. Then after that, you have to go to Tennessee and play the 25th ranked Volunteers at Neyland Stadium. We know you're not going to come out with a win there. They lost 42-7. So you knew that was going to be tough. And then the following week, you have to play on the road at number 19 Liberty in FCS, who had knocked off Baylor a couple weeks prior. Yay, by the way, because Bay Scum is 0-4. TCU was number 9 in the country. But and I'll talk about them too. But no, and then you play Liberty and you play them hard and competitive, and you're going back and forth with them, and you have a chance to win that game in the final seconds. You're down 42-41, and you line up for a chip shot field goal. You think you're going to walk off with a win yourself. Blocked, and you lose, and you're 0-3. So it has been a couple bitter pills to swallow for the Sycamores. But now in these coming games, we will really kind of see what this team is going to be made of, because as many pundits in the Valley predicted with the new coach and a young team, they were predicted to finish last in the Missouri Valley Conference. Well, now conference play starts for the Sycamores this week, and they have to play on the road in Norma, Illinois at 12th ranked Illinois State, which will not be easy. The Sycamores have never had it easy against Illinois State, but do you remember last year they upset the Redbirds at home in Memorial Stadium. And I was there for that game, and that was an awesome feeling afterward. So it can be done, and this team certainly has shown that they have the chops to do it. Cade Sparks now has taken over at quarterback for Isaac Harker and has done a great job, especially against Liberty when he had over 400 yards passing, second highest, only behind Mike Parrish in Sycamore history. Lamont Booker, good to see him back healthy, leading the running back platoon, but you also got Keys there in the backfield as well. You've got also Titus McCoy occasionally coming in on plays. The freshman out of Center Grove High School has done some nice things when he's been healthy. Just a great group. Then the wide receiving core is breaking out lately. Bob Pugh had a over 200-yard game against Liberty. John McClendon, the tight end, has done some nice things. So it's coming together. It's slowly coming together, and the defense will definitely have to play better in the future, but some nice things are being seen here. So the Valley is really going to show what kind of team we're going to get from the Sycamores. Conference play really is when your true colors of your team come out. And I think for the Sycamores, that could not be more true. Yes, they could very well be 2-1 heading into conference play, but that's hindsight. That's 2020. We are what we are. We're 0-3, unfortunately. So, but we can show that we can be a different team in conference play if we can hang around with Illinois State or North Dakota State when we play them at home in 2 weeks, the number 2 team in the country. So these Valley games are really going to test the Sycamores' metals. They haven't been tested already. They have. Now they really need to see if they can step up to the next level and pass these tests, so to get a victory. So we'll see what happens. My line, yeah. We'll see what happens in these weeks to come. Purdue. Oh my gosh, my actual alumni. Purdue is looking like maybe not contenders again, but at least they're interesting to watch. They're no longer getting their doors blown off on a week-by-week basis. Jeff Brom has come in and completely changed the culture of the program. He has put the pedal to the metal. This team is, looking at least like they're going to be competitive in the Big Ten. They gave Michigan this past week all they could handle for the first half. They were leading Michigan 10-7 at half, the number 7 team in the country. And then, of course, Michigan became Michigan again and locked it down the second half to win that game. But I have liked what I have seen from Purdue's offense. The defense is making better plays as well. With the pass rush, Jalen Robinson has been a great playmaker on defense. And offensively, the rotation of quarterbacks, I like that. When Darrell Hazel was there, it was the new quarterback every season. It was, new starting quarterback every single year. That kind of got tiring. But now you use both skill sets of David Blau and Elijah Sindelar both interchangeably, and both are showing they can operate this offense quite well. And then, of course, the running backs with Tarek Fuller. What a job that he has done. Tario Fuller. What a job that he's done taking over the lead back role for the injured, DJ Knox, and maybe not him injured. I think there's another running back that was injured, but Knox is still there, and Fuller has just done a great job on the ground, and the receivers they have there. And Jackson Anthrop, oh my gosh, Danny's brother, what a great job he has done with this Purdue offense being a great target. This team is fun to watch again, and they blew the doors off Ohio in a night game on a Friday night. They played, then they just blew the doors off of Missouri in a road against an SEC opponent on the road. Just destroyed Missouri 35-3. Hung around with Louisville, with the reigning Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson. Actually was leading that game late until Lamar Jackson did his Lamar Jackson thing and led Louisville back to a late win. But hung around with them in the season opener. This Purdue team is going to be a force in the Big Ten. They might not, at this point, it might have been far-fetched to say before the season, but a bowl game looks very feasible at this point. If they can pull some upsets, pull some surprises out of the box and do some nice things. I know the Big Ten is very tough. There's some great teams in the Big Ten. There's 4 in the top 10 this year you got Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, and Wisconsin in the top 10 alone. I think Ohio State now is 11, so there's outside the top 10, but still, you've got 4 teams in the top 15 in the country from the Big Ten alone. So and Iowa's a good team. There's still a lot of talent. Minnesota can be dangerous at times there with PJ Fleck there now, rowing the boat. This conference is getting better. Northwestern could still potentially be a sleeper, even though they haven't looked good at times this season. They can still be a sleeper. So top to bottom, the Big Ten, for the most part, looks really strong. But again, if Purdue can find a way to, again, win some games, this team is very capable of going to a bowl game. And I don't think a lot of people would have said that in the preseason. So very, very impressive. TCU, my Horned Frogs, oh, man. I've been thrilled with what I have seen from TCU. I could not have been happier on Saturday when I was watching them play at Oklahoma State in Stillwater, which is never easy to win at. It's never easy to win in Stillwater. But the Horned Frogs pulled out a win, 44-31. Absolutely impressive. This team now is up to number 9 in the country. And I love their hashtag on their account. It's eyes up, keep climbing. And I love that mantra. I think that's great. You want to get to the top. You want to be up there. you got your eyes on the prize. That's all that matters to TCU, and they want to be in that playoff, and they want to be in that position to win a national championship. And they should. And I think it was a real bummer a couple years ago when they were in a position to be in the playoff and didn't make it. So because the Big 12 lacked the championship game. Well, they have one this year, so maybe that'll help the Big 12's cause a bit. Because again, another great conference is the Big 12. You've got Oklahoma State, now TCU up there. West Virginia is a strong team. Kansas State can do some good things from time to time. So the top half of the Big 12 is really, really scary. The rest of it, maybe not so much, because Texas Tech is very erratic from time to time. Iowa State can be good sometimes, but not great. And Kansas and Bay Scum are very bad. So it's, so yes, and Texas is there, maybe not so much, but they're rebuilding. So, it's, the Big 12 title certainly can be a possibility for TCU, but I know the Frogs want more. I know obviously they're going to try to keep winning in conference, keep climbing, keep being that strong team. The offenses look great with Kenny Hill under center. He's been a great addition to this team. Devontae Turpin in the backfield is an absolute beast. He's a force, and just so much fun to watch this team go to work every single week. So much fun. Very, very proud of my Horned Frogs. North Carolina, on the other hand, has been a major disappointment. I expected so much more. I understand the Tar Heels lost a lot of the playmakers, especially Trubisky and Ryan Switzer to graduation, but I didn't think it'd be this bad out of the box. North Carolina is finding ways to give games away. They should have beat Cal in the opener. That didn't happen. They had Duke beat yesterday, and then Duke came back and won that game. So it's been a very trying start for the Tar Heels. And who's to say it might get better? Because, again, the ACC is very strong again this year, what with Clemson and Florida State, and of course Florida State's 0-2. So, and you got like Georgia Tech can be scary, and Virginia Tech, and Virginia can score now, shocker. And Duke playing well, and Pitt can play well from time to time. So there's a lot of good competition in the ACC, and so I don't know. I'm definitely worried. I'm definitely worried about North Carolina. That's for sure. Colorado, the Buffs. This week was kind of expected. Losing to Washington. Washington is a darn good football team. I mean, Washington is really, really good, and they showed it. And they showed why they're a top 10 team, winning 37-10. Colorado looked great in the non-conference. Beat up on Colorado State, which they normally do. Beat up on Texas State, which was expected. They beat up on Northern Colorado, expected. So the non-con really wasn't a test for Colorado, but the Pac-12 is going to provide a lot of landmines, and this could be potentially maybe where Colorado starts to fade down the stretch a bit, because again, the Pac-12 you're loaded this year. You got USC, you got UCLA looking strong, you got Oregon, you've got Cal now looks like a legitimate team. Washington's the Washington States. Arizona State can play well. Arizona State just upset Oregon, so Arizona can score points. So the Pac-12 once again is very loaded this year. Stanford just blew the doors off of UCLA. So the Pac-12 is going to provide some major tests for Colorado, and we'll see what comes of that. But again, kind of like North Carolina, I have a fear that these big tests are really going to be a telltale sign, maybe a downfall here for Colorado. Because again, Colorado lost a lot of talent from its Pac-12 winning or Pac-12 title game group last year. So again, that the first half looked strong, but after that, not so much. I wish I would stop getting these alerts from the NHL on preseason games. Preseason doesn't matter in the NHL. Doesn't matter. And then the academies that I like, Air Force and Navy. Air Force, Air Force usually when it comes to the Mountain West plays really well. And they looked really good on Saturday when they played San Diego State. Now, granted, that game was like in a monsoon delay for the longest time. There was lightning in the area, so that got delayed. So when it was delayed, Air Force was up 9-0. But after the delay, it's like San Diego State came out and was a totally different team, and they ended up winning the games 28-24. So Air Force, that offense is, the academy like to run kind of that option format offense these schools like to run. It works. It's very effective, and it does really well. But can they hang with these teams in the Mountain West? I think they can. The Mountain West really, outside of San Diego State and Boise State, is really not all that strong. There's really not a whole lot of strength in this conference. And so I think Air Force can take advantage of that if they continue to play well. Maybe they can win the division. And Boise State, of course, has got their doors blown off by West Virginia, or not West Virginia, Virginia, who I thought couldn't score. So at home on the Smurf turf, Boise State lost. So, it's the Mountain West. I think at least Air Force's division is there for the taking. And if they showed they could hang around with San Diego State, then certainly maybe a rematch in the championship game is in order. It's a possibility. So they hung around with Michigan, played well against Michigan, gave Michigan a game, only lost like 29-13. So they hung around with Michigan for a while. I think they could certainly be competitive in the Mountain West. And Navy is Navy. I mean, Navy looks like Navy again. Navy at times last year looked really, really shaky because of injuries to their key players. They lost a lot of guys throughout the year last year, and that's why they kind of faded down the stretch. And that's why they lost to Army in the Army-Navy game for the first time in what seems like years. The streak finally died. But it looks like that high-octane offense, that style is going to really just dominate the American again. They looked great against Cincinnati on Saturday, won 42-32, has looked really, really strong in those first couple of games. So I think Navy is definitely going to be a force again in the American. But you got some good teams in the American this year, too. You got Memphis, who upset UCLA, looking very, very good. Of course, Houston you have to deal with there in the American as well. So there's some really good teams in that conference. South Florida, of course, is doing very, very well in the American. Cincinnati can be hit or miss from time to time. But for the most part, I think Navy's division is there for the taking, and I certainly think Navy can get back to the American title game. So very, very impressed with Navy, as I always am. All right, before I talk more football with my Colts talk or rant, let's talk about Windows. I know it's kind of a different shift in things, but let's talk about Windows for a minute because I had an interesting situation with Windows a couple weeks ago a couple Saturdays ago. I tweeted about this too on Twitter, at Chris_Spiky Dash. I tweeted out, you ever have a moment where your computer decides it wants to update right when you're in the middle of something? I mean, right when you're in the middle of doing something on the computer. I was just Microsoft Word, editing my documents right in the middle of something, and pop-up comes up and says, update your computer now, update your computer now, update now, update now, update now, update now. And I'm like, okay, slow down, Charlie. Okay, slow your roll. And I don't know what happened then. I hit something. I don't know what. I was trying to postpone it to another time. And the next thing I know, boo, it's updating. And I'm like, oh, crapinator. I mean, really? You're doing this now, Windows, really? So apparently it couldn't wait for me to postpone this important update any longer, whatever that means, this important update. Of course, I think Windows thinks all updates are important. So when that how it works, just right in the middle of something and boop, update time. Yay! But let's update your computer. Let's make it better. Yay! Yay, computer! And then I wanted to take my drink and just right at you, but no, that would have been really, really bad. That would probably have made it worse. I didn't do that. So I was just then sitting here just waiting for this update, and this update, and even after the update, to be honest with you, I still don't know what changed in this update. My desktop doesn't look different. My the scroll bar at the bottom doesn't look different. I don't know what changed in this important update. I don't know what honestly changed. I didn't see any new features that changed at all. But it took forever. I mean, literally forever. I'm posting a screenshot on Twitter of this thing saying, don't turn off your PC. And I'm like, I put the little graphic up that says, OMG, because it's taking forever. I'm literally stuck in Windows Update hell. Someone help me. Any pony. Somebody get me out of this, please. Please fix this. It's like I'm just sitting there and you feel helpless. You can't do anything about it. Had to install this massive thing apparently and then restarted like 4 or 5 times restarts to get this thing going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to see my computer screen again. I was really legitimately worried. But after it finally decided to kick back on and work, at first it was very slow going. It was very slow out of the gate. Programs wouldn't open up. I couldn't get like Word reopen up at first. Weird stuff would happen, just very, very weird, different. And one time my computer just completely just clicked off by itself. Just clicked off. I was just doing something and click off. No explanation whatsoever. Just clicked off. Just nothing. Just clicked off. And I'm like, what the hell? What just happened? What did you do, Windows? I was honestly upset. And then, of course, the official Windows Twitter account and I had a nice little banter and discussion about after the update happened. They're tweeting at me, what's your favorite part of the update so far? How's it been going? I said, oh, well, at first it was bumpy, but smooth ever since. It's been fine ever since. They said, well, that's good. What new features have you used? And I'm like, well, I haven't really seen much, but I'm mainly like a document guy, YouTube guy. I do videos, I do that kind of thing. I do all that. That's mainly what I do on the computer. I'm like, oh, good, that's great. We're great to hear that you use all of the software. Are you a big gamer, PC gamer much? That kind of came out of the blue. I'm like, no, I prefer console gaming to PC gaming. That's really not more. I'm more of a console guy. They said, oh, and they tweet, oh, okay, maybe one day you'll come around. You'll be a PC gamer. Thanks for sharing your story with us. So, hey, Windows takes initiative in what I do on their software. So, thank you, Windows. So apparently they think my story is cool. So, Windows and I had a conversation. So, yay. Yay. So, yay, Windows. So, but that was just weird, and sometimes it's funny is sometimes even still updates without telling me. That's the one thing that ticks me off. It'll update and not tell me. When every time at night, when I'm done for the night, I'm going to bed, I put the computer to sleep. I don't want to shut it down because I keep all my Word documents that I'm using open, and I don't want to have to reopen them again because I feel like it's kind of a hassle. So I put my computer to sleep, just let it go on low power, just let it sleep. But sometimes I'll wake up the next morning, whether before I go to work or just starting the day, waking up, and I come back on my computer, and it's like brand new again, like it updated overnight, like without even telling me, no pop-up saying, hey, we're going to update overnight. Hey, there's this time and time it's going to be an update. No explanation, no warning whatsoever. So I'm caught off guard by that, and I'm like, okay, you could have warned a guy. You could have told me, hey, we're going to update. Hey, we're going to update now. Hey, just want to let you know. Hey, just want to let you know. We're going to update now. So, time to update. Have like a little, that's a great selling point for your future computers, Windows. Have a little alarm. Put a little, because I'm a hockey fan. Put like great concept. Great concept for hockey fans who own laptops, okay? Hear me out on this. Great concept. Have a little integrate into the screen somehow, or on the outside, or the bottom of the laptop somehow. Integrate a little light into it, okay? A little light, and that kind of like syncs up with the software, the hardware somehow. And whenever it then says it's time to update, the computer will kick on, and that light will sound like a goal light. You can maybe sync it to your favorite team's goal horn or something, and it'll go, ooh, it's, hey, time to update, and so then you can acknowledge whether you want, okay, you'll wake you up from your sleep, and then it'll be like, okay, yes, I want to update now, or no, I want to postpone, or what have you, or just go ahead, do the update. Let us know, that I think would be a great idea. I'm just saying, I think it'd be a great idea. Let us know when you're updating your system, so we're not like completely thrown off guard. But I don't know if it's going to be a staple going forward, but I don't like the way it is right now. I feel like as users of your product, as users of your program, as users of your system and your operating system, your laptops, I feel like we deserve to know if our computer is going to be either messed with, affected, or updated well in advance. Give us some kind of warning. So just, don't get me wrong, I love Windows 10. I really do. I love Windows 10 as an operating system. I like it. I like the look. I like the way it is. I like the way it works. Way better than 8 or 8.1 ever was. So way better. But it it just really seems like really frustrating. Every time there's an update, I have to reopen Microsoft Word, reopen the documents I was working on, reopen that, and then potentially resave them. That to me seems like a waste of time. So don't want to do that. All right, final thing to talk about. Final thing, and I've been hyping this up for a long time, and you know what? I'm going to do one thing. Where is it? There we go. Final thing, and I feel like, this might be a little hypocritical, but I'm going to wear this as I say this because I love this team. I do. Growing up in Indiana, growing up here, if you fall in love with sports, if you fall in love with football, basketball, what have you, you follow the local teams. You become passionate about the local teams here, at least the ones that are close by you, and you fall in love with the Pacers in basketball. You fall in love with, maybe the local hockey teams like I do, like the Comets or the Ice, and your local baseball teams like in Gary or what have you, or in Kokomo now. But when it comes to football, you love the Horseshoe. You love the Indianapolis Colts. I hate to say this, but the owners, in my opinion, the Jim Irsay, the owner, and GM Chris Ballard have made it very, very clear, at least to me, maybe not to the entire fan base, maybe not to the players, but to me, it's very, very clear. And I mentioned this all in FFSR. The tanking is a thing. The tank is on. And again, I know you're going to say around the box, well, wait, Chris, wait. They won yesterday. They beat Cleveland yesterday. Again, I don't think the players are aware. Maybe not all of them. Maybe they're not aware of this. But you would think they would have to be. You would think that they would have to be in some way, shape, or form. You would think they would have to be aware of it. To me, it's obvious, from all that happened in the offseason. And if you don't see it, to me, you're as blind as the fans who thought Paul George was staying here as a Pacer. You're as blind and oblivious as that, because to me it's painfully obvious. This team, the higher ups have made it clear that they don't want this team to win this year. They don't want them to be competitive. They don't want to be top in the AFC South. They want to take a wait and see approach on this season. We don't know when Andrew Luck is coming back. We have no idea. No one has known now for months. We don't know. And Chuck Pagano said it as much a couple days ago. Because he told the media, you and I know the same information as God is my witness. We both know the same stuff, which is nothing. Nobody knows. Just every time I see a story pop up on freaking Twitter that he might come back this day, or he might come back that week, or he might do this, he might do that, blah 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 blah. Stop. Shut up. Just shut up. Nobody knows, okay? Nobody knows when he's coming back. And it freaking pains me to death, because this group, Jim Irsay, Chris Ballard, for some stupid, unexplained reason, in the preseason released their two best quarterbacks. Released both of them. Philip Walker, Stephen Morris. Well and away outperformed Scott Tolzien in the preseason, by far. Colts got rid of Walker first, and I was dumbfounded. I was like, you just released the best quarterback you had in the preseason. You just let him go. And you have no clue when Andrew Luck is coming back. And then when cuts come up, you get rid of Stephen Morris. You put all your eggs in one basket, and you put them in Scott Tolzien. It was obvious. I mean, it was at that point, it was painfully obvious what message that Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard were sending. And that message was, you know what? This season, we're just letting it all go. Because we don't know when Andrew's going to return, and we're just going to roll the dice with Scott because he looked better in OTAs. They didn't even take into account the preseason. Didn't even take that into account. I know I just said preseason doesn't matter in the NHL. It's really because it doesn't, because you mainly have the players on those teams that are going to play in the regular season. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have the weight. Preseason doesn't have the weight in the NHL that it does in the NFL. NFL, guys are fighting for roster spots. Guys are, the starters don't play much in the preseason in the NFL. Preseasons matter more in the NFL, and really there isn't one in the NBA because that's where summer league happens. That's for guys fighting for roster spots. So, these young guys. So it matters more in the NFL and NBA than, say, the NHL or like the spring leagues in Major League Baseball. Doesn't matter as much. It matters a lot in the NFL, though. It should have some bearing on the decisions you're going to make, on what you're going to do when it comes to the regular season. It should have some bearing in mind. But it was clear, it was crystal clear that that Irsay and Ballard did not care about that one iota, one bit, and just said, you know what, Tolzien looked better in OTAs. We'll stick with him. We'll put our faith in him while Andrew is out. And we're just going to ditch the other two altogether, not even give them a shot, and say, thanks for your service. Just lay them out to dry. You weren't good enough. You weren't there. You looked okay. You did some nice things in preseason. But when it mattered most to us, Tolzien looked better. We're going to go with him. If they knew, if they honestly freaking knew that Andrew Luck was going to be out for this long, why did they do that? Seriously. Why didn't they try, at least make an effort, and maybe they did. Why didn't they at least try to sign a quarterback with at least some veteran presence? And again, I know you're screaming at your computer right now, but Chris, what about Jacoby Brissett? Well, Jacoby Brissett's looked fine. I'm not going to say anything about Jacoby Brissett. Nothing bad. He's looked okay. He's looked fine. He looks like he can run this offense pretty darn well. At least he's an upgrade from Tolzien. Tolzien should never set foot on the field again in a Colts uniform. Period. End of statement. He should never do that again. Because if he does, especially at Lucas Oil Stadium, Colts fans will riot. I guarantee it. And I might get a torch myself. I mean, what? Why? Why didn't they try to get somebody better at that time if they knew? It was stupid. It was honestly stupid to take Andrew Luck off the PUP list. Honestly. Because you didn't know. You didn't know. If you take him off the PUP list, then you know he's going to be returning soon. You know that. But clearly you didn't know. And you dump the two best quarterbacks from preseason and put all your eggs in this basket of Scott Tolzien and say we're going to roll the dice with you. Stupid. Utterly stupid. And I know there's a rumor out there they tried to sign Colin Kaepernick. There was a rumor that they wanted to sign Nick. I'm sorry, but even with all what that's going on right now in the NFL with the the protests and everything and the locking arms and the unity and the knees and all that, I would not have won on the Colts roster. I'm sorry. I would not. And I think most of Indianapolis probably felt the same way that I did, because there was a poll even done by Bob Kravitz from WTHR who did a poll, and most fans said, no, we don't want him on the roster. The distraction, the PR hit, the reputation of the team that would get by signing him would not have been a good combo. So he throws Scott Tolzien out there in week 1 on the road against Los Angeles Rams. And what happens? Well, probably what everyone would predict would happen. The Rams kicked the Colts' ass. Let's just say it bluntly for what it is. Rams kicked the Colts, you know what. And I know I said it once, but I'm not going to say it again. Rams kicked their butt. 46-9. Worst season opening loss in team history. The Rams looked like a Super Bowl contender in week 1. They still might. They still look pretty darn good. Did you watch the Thursday night game between the Rams and the 49ers? OMG. They still look good. They put up another 40 spot on the 49ers. They still look good. So maybe that loss doesn't look as bad now, but at the time, it looked really bad because we made Jared Goff look like a number 1 pick. We made his running backs, Todd Gurley, look like a star like he already is. And we made his wide receiver core look absolutely incredible. But our offense could do nothing. Nothing with Scott Tolzien under center. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. Squat. Zero. Nothing. And it was absolutely pathetic and a disgrace to see that score go up and up and up for the Rams. And our guys doing absolutely nothing. Should never set foot in a Colts uniform ever again. Jacoby Brissett, he's a bit of an upgrade. He's nice. But he's not. That's not saying much. He's still, he looked great against Cleveland. Maybe not so much week 2, but looked great against Cleveland. So he's starting to maybe gel a bit in this offense. But that's not saying much. The players can't be aware of it. I mean, they can't be aware of the owner's intentions. They honestly cannot be aware of it because they're playing to win. I mean, they're playing to win. And it's kind of scary. Like, they're playing to win. They were leading week 2, 10-0 against these same Cardinals who are playing on Monday Night Football tonight. They got to a 10-0 lead, but they choked away. They lost 16-13 in overtime. So maybe some of them were aware of it? I don't know, but then how can you say that when you beat the Browns yesterday? Although the Browns nearly came back and won, the Colts had a big lead in that game too, and the Browns nearly came back and won. So maybe they know more than we think. It's something to ponder. But that wasn't the end of it. That wasn't the end of it. That wasn't, we thought the quarterbacks dropping off the roster would be the end of it, but that wasn't it. Nope. During the cuts, before the 53-man cut came up, dump Philip Dorsett. Now, that in itself wasn't all that surprising because Philip Dorsett was probably one of the worst first-round draft picks the Colts have ever had, and that was a Grigson pick. He was hoping for speed. He was hoping to upgrade the receiving core. The receiving core didn't need an upgrade that time. Didn't really need it. And he was clearly ignoring the offensive line, protecting his franchise quarterback, Andrew Luck, and that led to him getting subsequently hurt. Looking back again, very, very bad decision, and I'm so glad at least that we had the presence of mind to kick Ryan Grigson out the door. So they dumped Philip Dorsett during cuts, and New England picked him up. Well, that's fine, because again, New England was dealing with injuries. They lost Edelman. Amendola had a concussion. That's fine. You want to add him there, that's fine. He's a major bust, waste of a first-round draft pick, and quite frankly, he probably has more drops in his career than he does catches. I'm pretty confident in that. But then, I hear from a coworker of mine who also follows football as just as much as I do, and we talk football all the time at work, back and forth, good friend of mine. Whoever made this decision, Colts owner, GM, whoever, has the balls, yes, to get Brissett, but you give up Dante Moncrief in order to do it. Seriously? Yes, let's decimate the receiving core even more. Because now, besides T.Y. Hilton, who is there? Quan Bray? Kamar Aiken, who just now got a concussion? For gosh sakes, at this point, we're going to have to sign guys off the street or hold open receiver tryouts. Are you freaking kidding me? So now you give New England, and he went to New England because that's where you have to swap here because Brissett came from New England. So you give them an even better receiver than Dorsett, and I don't know why New England hasn't used him yet, in order to get a better than quarterback than Tolzien. New England wins. New England beats the Colts again. Beat us again. Because you gave them the better deal right there in that deal. You gave them the better deal. When that went down, I knew right away this was a full-on roster dump. And the tank was initiated. Right then and there, I knew this is their plan. This is their plan all along. And whether the players buy into it or not might be entirely up to them. Maybe they're rebelling against this plan. Maybe they're going against Irsay and Ballard's plan. We don't know. There really hasn't been any talk about it, which is surprising. But this team is dumping its good resources. It really is. Yeah, you still have Frank Gore there at running back, but he's getting up there in age. Yeah, you drafted Marlon Mack, but he hasn't done much yet, and he just got hurt. Yeah, you have Hilton in the receiving core, but again, who else do you have? Scrubs. That's really all you have at this point. Yeah, Jack Doyle has some one or two nice games at tight end, but the consistency needs to be there. And the defense is banged up as well, especially with the secondary, which has always been one of the Colts' weak points over these past couple of years. This is clearly not a year where the owner and the GM want to win. I'm pretty sure then that Ballard walked into the office day one, sat down with Jim Irsay, and said, "So, Jimmy, good to be here. What do we know about Andrew? We know nothing." "Oh, really?" "We know nothing." Okay. We know nothing. Well, that's encouraging. Well, do we take him off of PUP before the season? Oh, definitely. Oh, for sure. Yeah, he'll be fine by then. Oh, yeah, we'll do that for sure. Okay, well, that's out of the way. That's off the list. But still not knowing when he'll come back. The quarterback situation. What do we do with that? Well, let's think about this. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Hear me out on this. What do you think about this? Why don't we promote the guy who's done the best in OTAs? We won't worry about preseason so much. But then, right when preseason's over, surprise everybody, we'll keep the one guy, dump everyone else. It's genius, right? We'll dump everyone else because we're shooting for 2018. You see where I'm going with this, Ballard, buddy? Okay, I kind of see where you're going with this. I kind of see it. I see it. So you're not really focused on coming back as much this year as you are next year. Exactly. You're catching on. I see why I hired you now, Ballard. I see why I hired you now. You and I are completely on the same page. I love it. You and I are on the same page. It's awesome. Okay. You and I are on the same page now, and this is great. And then it gets even better. And then we'll make a move for a quarterback out there on the market. We'll call up some teams. Heck, we might even call up New England. I don't know. Try to make a move. We'll dump a really bad receiver. Then We'll fool everybody else, and we'll get a good quarterback for one of our better receivers. You see where this is going, buddy? You see where this is going, 2018. Focus on the future. Focus on the future. Don't focus on the now. Focus on the future. The future. Future, man. Focus on the future. And of course, Bauer then ponders that for a minute and thinks, and then swigs his big drink in the air and gives a toast to each other and says, "Jimmy, let's do it." And they smash their glasses and drink goes everywhere. And then they get another drink from someone else and they chug that down. And it's like, then they light, I don't know, fireworks outside the facility or what have you to celebrate their big bonding. And, right then and there is when they hit the tank button. I'm pretty sure of it. Right then and there. They don't want to win now. They want to look to 2018. Because if you think about it, think about this for a minute, that would actually sometimes kind of make sense. Because you realize the quarterback class that's coming in 2018, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson, the Allen kid from Wyoming. Wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't it make sense? If you're worried about Andrew Luck's health, wouldn't it make sense to tank now and be at the bottom of the league and then get that high draft pick in 2018 and use it on a quarterback? They have this grand plan, and they want to initiate it, but are the players fully on board? Maybe not so much after yesterday's win over Cleveland. And to think, the Browns were 7-point favorites on the road. The Browns were 7-point favorites on the road against the Colts. I've been through the highs and lows of this team. Peyton Manning years, man, Colts were spoiled. Man, those were great years. You could say the same about the Jim Harbaugh years in the 90s when I was really young. And I remember going to games at the old Hoosier/RCA Dome with Captain Comeback, Jim Harbaugh. And I'll never forget the best game of my life there when we upset the defending champion 49ers at home. The atmosphere of that game was just awesome. I'll never forget it. But the lows, though, have been really low. Jim Mora and Curtis Painter. Yick. Those years stunk. This is a pretty big low, but at least those teams still made an effort, though, not to stink. But this, not even close. This example right here, this is why I've always been a believer in having multiple favorite teams. You can't be loyal to just one team, in my opinion, because you subject yourself to a lot of disappointment more often over time. I followed the Colts for 20-plus years. I've seen one Super Bowl win in my life. One. I followed the Pacers for those same 20-plus years. You know how many NBA titles the Pacers have won? None. But when I developed these relationships and this passion and this love for other favorite teams in the NFL or in the NHL, I have 6 favorite teams in the NFL. I have 6 favorite teams in the NHL. Now, the Pacers are my favorite in the NBA. I can't really imagine liking a team in the NBA. But I have 3 favorite teams in Major League Baseball, 6 in the NFL, and 6 in the NHL. And I have multiple favorite teams across the minor leagues as well. I got a minor league board over here. I got a major league board of Wall of Fame over there. I've enjoyed, though, 20-plus championships among these teams because I have these ties. I have these close-knit relationships for why I like these teams, whether it's the players on the team or the team mascot or or what have you, or just the the cool logo or the color scheme, whatever it may be. I have reason to cheer for those teams in schools, and I want to experience winning a lot more often. I like the Colts. I always have. I always will. But this year is going to be a very, very tough year to be a fan. Very tough. It is clear that either Irsay is just incompetent, Chris Ballard is a yes man who simply nods his head and smiles and high fives and toasts to what Irsay does and has no say in any of the major player decisions, or did have a say in them and is just as incompetent himself, or have this grand plan to tank. It is one big mess. But you know what? If we need to wallow in this mess for one season, just to see then what happens next, then we need to hunker down, we need to roll in the mud, and then join the line of us who need to get clean. Because if the tank job does happen, and it looks like it's going to, unless the players follow through, after this, a major, major cleaning is going to be required for the Colts to be a major player in the AFC once again. All right, guys, that is it. I've ranted long enough. It's 8:35. Monday Night Football is going to be on here pretty shortly, if not already. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. I appreciate, again, all your understanding on the pushbacks, all your views, all your support. I appreciate that so much. I can't do what I do on here without your views and the subscribers and your thoughts, anything. Thank you guys for that always. So thank you for keeping me going and keep me doing what I do, because I love it. I'm passionate about it. You guys know that. Week 4 FFSR is coming on Wednesday night. At least for now, I'm probably planning it Wednesday night. It will probably be, again, an 8 o'clock start on Wednesday night. So I will prep tomorrow for that, and then we'll tune in on Wednesday night for FFSR after a wild and wacky Week 3 in the NFL for certain. And then, again, like I mentioned, ATSC Episode 10 probably will not be for a while. Will probably not be until mid-October, because, again, I want a chance to see the movie when it comes out on the 6th, but I won't be able to see it that night, obviously, because I work. But ATSD Episode 10 will be a MLP-focused episode only. It won't have any other topics. It will be MLP only, because we'll talk about the episodes 20 and onward and the movie. So, again, I forewarn you again, if you have not seen the movie by the time I record the live stream, if you have not seen it, do not watch episode 10. Do not, because it is major spoilers. It will share my opinion on the movie. So please, you've been forewarned in advance. So because I want to really honestly share my opinion, because I've been looking forward to this. I'm sure I know all the fandom has been looking forward to this ever since we first heard of a movie release. We were looking forward to this, and I mentioned in my previous ones that that the animation is going to be hard to look past, and it's what it still might be when I see it. But the more I've seen in the trailers, the more I've seen from the story, I think I'll be able to look past it. I'm starting maybe to embrace it a little bit. It's still pony. I mean, it still has the feel of the show in a way. Even though the animation style is vastly different, it still looks like the main 6. It still looks like our group of characters. It still, the new characters look, somewhat great. I will say, though, that, and I mentioned this in the synopsis, too, I'm not fond of 2 of them right out of the box. I don't think I'm going to like Tempest Shadow or Capper all that much, just based on their backstories. So I probably won't like them when I see them on the screen. But outside of that, the worlds look awesome. The story itself looks cool. So I'm obviously pumped. I'm looking forward to seeing it in theater. I'm sure all of us are. All my friends are. Nate, Sarah, Matt, Erica, all of us are looking forward to seeing it. I hope we all see it together. I'd love that. Earlier this year, like I mentioned, all 5 of us went to the Jackrabbit game together, and that was a great time. So I'm hoping all 5 of us can see the movie together and make that happen. And if not, we'll spread it out. But we're excited. So I am really looking forward to that. And on that same day, on the 6th, Skylanders Academy Season 2 is coming out on Netflix. So I'm very much looking forward to that. because also, in the way this is pony related, they also got Felicia Day, who voiced Buttercup from Perfect Pair, to voice Cinder the Dragon. So for season 2. So I'm very much looking forward to that as well. So a lot of excitement coming up in October. So yeah. So ATSD episode 10 will not be for a while, but FFSR will continue up until that time. So as soon as I figure out a date to do episode 10, I will post it and I will let you guys know. And again, major spoiling. So if we don't want to be spoiled, don't watch. Thank you guys so much. Again, it means the world. Thank you guys. God bless. Pleasant dreams tonight, and just have a blessed week. And I will see you guys on Wednesday night for the week 4 preview of the FFSR. And I will see you again in October for episode 10 of ATSD with MLP episodes and a movie recap. Until next time, Spiky Dash out.